Okay, so now here's the cover, and there's something very interesting for you to know. Okay, and I can see this one was the one that's broken, and you can put your mounting screws up first. Then you use the bigger holes to fit right over the screw, okay, when you're up there. And see, there's bigger one here, and you might think, okay, it's for 2 different size boxes. No, it's for 3 different size boxes, because this one here, if you slide it this way, you're going to attach to these 2 screws. If you slide it this way, you're going to attach to these 2 screws. These 2 screws are different measurement apart than those. And same with that. Now this one is the one that's broken. And see, it kind of snapped off towards the back. And I'm gonna think about seeing if I can get if I have some sort of washer to put on here on the screw head, let's say, and see if I can make that better. And it's pushed up a little bit higher than flush, and usually I'll just use 1 1/4 drywall screws because the threads work good into that plastic. But I got some 1 5/8 drywall screws, and I might end up using those because they're a little bit longer. Now these little short ones would work, but I'm barely going to get it up there. And I'm not going to concern myself too much. I think I'll use the 1 5/8 though, but I'm not going to concern myself too much as long as I get this pretty good. This is just the mounting bracket, okay, and then it'll fit on there. I'm gonna be replacing these. These smoke alarms were called 10-year lithium battery backup, and I got those. And let's see what the date was that I installed it. October 30, 2018. So in a sense, these are good for another 4 years. Okay? And sometimes they last 10 years. Sometimes they might only last they might only last 9 years. Okay, so, and sometimes you can look on the back and see how old they are. And this one, I happen to see a number, it says 2018, but that's when I installed it, 2018. Okay, so yeah, okay, sorry about that. Date of install 10/30/18, and then replaced by October 2028. Now I put that, sometimes they don't have that, sometimes they only have date of install. If you put that on there and if you happen to forget, then you just look up there, okay, when do I need to replace those? Because these are designed to last for 10 years because they have a lithium battery backup that's included in here. You cannot replace it, and once it goes off, you have to replace it, and sometimes they last 10 years. I put one up for a friend of mine, and hers just went off, and she looked at it and it was 8.5 years old. And so it's like, hey, it's supposed to last for 10 years. Now, if you have your receipt and you know what store you bought it from, you can go back to the store and you can say, hey, it only lasted 8.5 years. They might give you a new one, or they might say, oh, you have to contact the company. Here's their address. Send your receipt. Explain to them what's going on, and you might get a new replaceable unit that way. You know, if it's 8.5 years, I wouldn't go through all that. I might just say, forget it, I'll just go buy a new one. Okay, now if you don't have this date, you can look on the inside, and that's what I was showing you. This says 2018 March 09, and see, they had it set on their shelf from March to October, because I didn't get it until October, and I installed it right after I got it. So there you go. You always look on the back and you'll see it, and then you'll be able to tell. Now, not all smoke alarms last for 10 years. You have to look at it and see. And if you have a battery one with 9-volt alkaline batteries, and you're like, I just replace the battery every year or once it starts chirping, and I've had it for 20 years. Well, you know what? Technically, I think the manufacturers say you have to replace your smoke alarm every 10 years. No ifs, ands, or buts. They're only designed to last 10 years, but if they last longer, and if you have a fire, and if for some reason something happens, somebody dies in the fire, they're sleeping and they get smoke in them, and when your insurance company comes out there, your insurance company may look at your smoke alarms and say, hey, you know what? These are outdated. And now we're not going to cover your fire, your house just burned down. We're not covering it. That is if they can find the smoke alarm, if it's not charred and beaten up and burned up in the process, or if they can't find any parts to it. They find the parts, they could probably tell which year it was built and stuff, and they might not cover your house. Okay? Now, I'm not 100% sure on that, and if you have a question, you can always contact a manufacturer, Kitty, First Alert, wherever smoke alarms are. You can call their 800 number and you can ask them, hey, what if I have one of yours and it lasts 20 years? Is it still by law, and will my insurance company still cover it if I have a fire? And they're not going to come back to me and say, hey, your smoke alarm's outdated, or something like that. You could check on that, but that's been my theory on it is 10 years. And I read it somewhere where manufacturers say they're only designed for 10 years. Okay, so this particular one will last until it's supposed to last until 28, and we're towards the end of 24. And so it should last another good 3 years or 3.5 years from now. So, you know, I'll see what I can do about this mounting, little mounting bracket area right there. And here's another thing. If you have an old mounting bracket, and if you're replacing like for like, you could save a mounting bracket. Sometimes if the mounting bracket is the very same, I might just keep it and use it, but usually I'll say, nah, I'm going to put the brand new one up there. It came with the brand new one. I'm going to put the brand new one. And as for the little adapter, sometimes adapters are the very same, and you could use the same adapter. You could take everything, you could take the cover off, and if your adapter is the same, you might say, oh, I'm just going to use the same adapter. You could, but I would recommend replacing it. You never know, that adapter could be 25 years old. Why do I want to put that on a brand new smoke alarm? Go ahead and go the extra mile, put the new adapter up there. And like I say, not all adapters will fit like for like. So a few things to know about your smoke alarms. Okay, so that's pretty big. Now I'm not going to go to the store or anything. I'm going to Joe Guyver it. Okay, now I happen to have some little things I can use as a washer. Okay, see this little thing right here? That's the end off of an electrical outlet that I didn't use anymore. I cut the tabs off and I could use that as a washer, but that is too small to cover up that whole opening. Okay, so I can't use that. Now here's something else I have. I had a little plastic bracket. See, I always save stuff. I got a little plastic bracket like that. It's not really good for hardly anything. Underneath the house or something, that wouldn't be good for a finished application of anything, right? But I could cut that off and use that as a washer, have the plastic extend, or I could cut that end off way over there and have this whole thing, this whole flap go over that and cover it up that way. I could use that, but I think I'm gonna use something else. This happens to be the back of a doorstop, and it's an old one, and it's been in my nail bag and it's all messed up. And I can use that as the washer. See, my screw will go through there. And I'm gonna go out in the garage and just tap that down on concrete, and I can take my tin snips and cut off the excess or whatever. Make sure that nothing is going to be in the way. See, I've got this little thing there. I want to make sure I got nothing in the way. I don't want it up over that, because then the back of the smoke alarm is not going to slide on there. So I can't go above that little nib. So see, I can use this. I can let it extend over after I put this screw on and flip it over, and then I can just shimmy that screw up with the washer on there. So I'll hold the washer there, and I'll cut this side off after I flatten it off, and make that my washer, okay? And that will hold it. How about that? All right, so I'm gonna do that and get ready to get this back up there. Kaboom. See, I flatten that out. I cut off the edges, so it's gonna fit. It's gonna fit right there for my washer, and that's gonna go right in there. I think that'll work. See there? Okay. All right, so now I can go ahead and put this up and tighten this up to the ceiling with my mounting screws, and I can either use my 1¼ drywall screws, or my 1 5/8, and I'm probably going to use my 1 5/8 at least for where the washer is, and I can see where the little goodie is that I have to screw into in the box is raised up. Even though the box is flush to the drywall, that little tab is inset about 1/8 of an inch. That's the reason for my 1 5/8 for that, and I can do 1 1/4 for the other one, or 1 5/8. Okay, so don't fret. Your smoke alarms don't generally come with mounting screws. Okay, so if you can't find any, they don't have to be the silver screws. You don't have to run to the store to get a silver screw. If you got any drywall screws, that'll work. Now see, that's how your smoke alarm is supposed to look at this point, just like that. I've got the power off, and then when I put this in, I got to make sure to put it in the right holes. You look at it real closely, you'll figure it out. And you want to make these screws snug. See, I got my washer up there. I've got this snug. I want it on there as, you know, not too tight to where you're sucking it up, but snug enough so that when you click it on there, it'll go without moving around. And then when you want to loosen it up later on down the road, this whole box doesn't slide all around because your screws weren't tight enough. But these are only so strong, and after a while, if you saw, that screw just broke out the back side. Okay, so when you see like that, and you see this coming out, and if you're installing one, you can take the mounting bracket down so that you can pull the wire nuts out properly, so that you can disconnect it properly, so that you can install your new adapter properly. That's why a lot of people, they don't like to mess with it, and they say, oh, if that adapter looks the same, I'm going to use it, and then they don't have to take that out, fish the wire nuts out, and all that kind of stuff. You see what I mean? And then if the power is still on, they don't have to worry about it. But for me, I like to do things right, use the right adapter, the brand new adapter with the brand new smoke alarm if you're doing it from brand new, okay? So now, am I ready to install that smoke alarm? Yes. I've just got to hook the back side of that up properly and get it reattached. Let's do it. All right. I've got to look at this carefully. I'm going to resituate my ladder. And I've got to look at this carefully, make sure I got it lined up right, hold my mouth just right, and snap it in. Okay, and my date of install, does it matter exactly where it goes and where this other goes? It doesn't really matter. It's up here. Lots of times I'll put it facing over there, and you just have to find where this fits. Usually, see, I got it fit up tight right there, but if I didn't, I could rearrange it and maybe get it tight. The last thing you want to do is start twisting it on without having it all nicely tight. I tried to do that one time, and I thought I had it all the way up, and I tightened it, and it clicked on one side, and son of a gun, on the back side it wasn't on, and I had a heck of a time trying to unscrew it. Okay, so now it's got some little click, 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 click things, and I just want to do it until I hear it clicking a little bit. Like that. Okay, there it is. Okay, and I've done it. Now, I saw that the base slightly moved, and I could have tightened it up even tighter, but I didn't. And it's still up there. It's up there nice and tight. And I could turn that on and see, make sure that adapter's on there right and stuff. And I have to remember now, before I turn that on, I have to remember that these wires are going to be hot. They're far enough apart. The wires are far enough apart that just for the sake of argument, just for testing, let's just see if the smoke alarm wires will go on. I'm not gonna. And see, it was that one there, the second to the bottom one. I got to remember that. Okay, I look up here. The green light is on now on that one in the hallway, and voila, the green light is on. I know it's on. Okay, but I'm going to turn it back off because there's always power to the ceiling fan now when that breaker's on. Okay. So if I had the, I got to make sure I remember that's the second to the bottom one on the left, and I look up here, the light is off. The light is off on that one, and I have to remember that after I hook up the ceiling fan and get the ceiling fan all working and all that kind of stuff, well, get it all hooked up, turn the breaker back on. Make sure that my handheld remote device is working properly for the ceiling fan and all that kind of stuff. I have to remember to reset the smoke alarms. And all you have to do, reset the smoke alarm after the power is on. I have to just push the button. That's all I have to do. Push the button, and then it will go through the cycle, and then you'll hear the smoke alarms going off throughout your house, and then you'll know that it's reset. What I used to do is I used to do a reset on one, and then after it stopped, I'd come out and do a reset on this one, do a test in there, do a test in the main room, do a test upstairs and all that kind of stuff, and test every single one. But if all of them are on the same circuit, you should be able to just test one, and I believe they all get reset. Now, if there's somebody out there who disagrees with me, let me know, okay? But I always think, better be safe than sorry. I'll just go ahead and press every single one. But then I got a viewer saying, hey, Joe, you shouldn't have to press all of them. You should just press one. And if you hear them going throughout the house, which I do, every time I press one, I'll hear all the other ones go off. Then I press the other one and reset that. All of them go off. He said, when you press one and you can hear them all go off, that tells you all that your system is reset, and that makes sense to me, okay? But for right now, I'm gonna leave it off. Always will have to remember from now on that if I want to disconnect this later on down the road for any unknown reason, I'm going to have to turn the breaker off that's attached to the smoke alarm. So when I get all done with this project, I may relabel this panel, because the second one to the bottom says guest room, and off to the side or over here I might say smoke alarm, ceiling fan, or something like that, with an arrow from here down. Or I can tape another piece of paper here with an arrow down, and then do it in writing with a ballpoint pen or something like that, so that you can read it. You know what I mean? Because quite often I'll do something and I'll say, oh, I'll remember where it is. I mean, when we moved in to this house, I changed out all of the smoke alarms initially. I took all the old ones out because they were old, and I put in the 10-year backup battery lithium hardwired smoke alarms. And then in a couple different areas, I ran the smoke alarm carbon monoxide ones. One in the kitchen and one downstairs. You're supposed to have a carbon monoxide smoke alarm there. If you have any gas appliances and the heaters, the heating units, these heating units are gas, and the water heater's gas. So you're supposed to have a smoke alarm with the carbon monoxide unit back there too. Okay. All right. Enough of that. I'm glad this part of the project is done. Pat your back that you've got. Now I've tapped into there, right? I've tapped into there, and the wire is coming over from the smoke alarm, activating the ceiling fan. And if I wanted, I could get up there with my wire testers. I could turn the breaker back on. Do you want me to do that? I can. I'll do that. Okay. I'll strip the wire, and then we'll test it and make sure it works. And I'm pretty sure it will. Okay, I've stripped the wire up there. I've got to turn the breaker back on, and second one from the bottom, got that on. I've got some wire testers here, and I always like to take my wire tester and make sure it works. I don't use it very often, and I got it crammed down in my nail bag, and so I'm gonna first off want to make sure that it's working, right? Plugging that in, and the little orange light, when I wiggle it, the orange light is on. Okay, so I know the tester's working. Okay, so now I can get up there. I get up there, and I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it or not. We'll see. We'll see. Now that should be hot. Okay. I put it to hot, the black and the ground. You see the orange lights on. The neutral, I think you just have to do that, okay? Or if I press the white and the black, and the orange light goes on. Voila! Okay? Isn't that pretty cool? That I've got everything set up now for the ceiling fan. I've got to make sure, I've always got to make sure to turn it off now, because like I say, I don't normally do a ceiling fan this way. This is the first one actually without having an actual wall switch to turn the power on and off. This switch, as you remember, turns on the lights by the bed. Okay, and I didn't want to have to go through all the hassle. Years ago, I would take this light switch out, take the box out, put a cut-in box in there, put a 2-gang ring in there, leave it open so I can fish a wire, go up in the attic, drill a hole, fish the wire down, take it over to your ceiling fan location, wire, and then put a 2-gang cut-in box in there, put this switch in, put a new switch in for the power for the ceiling fan, and all that kind of stuff. And then the ceiling fan power on, off, even with the handheld remote. The handheld remote, though, only works when you have the ceiling fan power turned on. And you don't have to do that. With this type of ceiling fan, any type of new ceiling fan that has the fan control and it has the remote, you only have to have power up to the ceiling fan. And that's what we got. And I couldn't do it any other way because we're on the ground floor and there's a second floor above this. There's really not any attic I could access into there, and I've showed you the entire process on how I got that up, how I use the power. I'm tapping in on the smoke alarm, going over to the ceiling fan. Okay, and that's going to work. Now I've got the power off, and I'm going to take a little bit of a break here. I'm going to clean up a little bit. I'm going to vacuum out here in the hallway. I'm going to vacuum this probably before I get going. I'm going to put some of my stuff away and get this all kind of cleaned up somewhat so that I can tackle the next portion of the project. The next portion of the project is finally getting able to install this ceiling fan. This one happens to be from Fanimation. From Fanimation, it's a 52-inch ceiling fan, and they have different ones. This has a light kit, and they have different ones at the store. You can get 48-inch, you can get 50-inch, 54-inch, 60-inch, 72-inch. They got all kinds of stuff. And you can get a 3-blade one. This one happens to be a 5-blade. I've seen them up 9 blades. You know, like those big ones you see at Costco? I put one up, kind of mimicked that at a condo just recently, and I think it had 9 blades. That was pretty cool. But in a bedroom like this, it's kind of overdone. You don't need, you know, a bedroom this big, you don't need a big old huge one. If I had a big huge one like that, see this room here? I know it's kind of dark because we've got the lights off, but we could put a big huge ceiling fan right here, one without too long of an extension, and you could put a 9-blade one in here. See how big this room is, and then it would make sense. But I wouldn't want to put a big huge whopping one in a regular sized bedroom. If you got a huge master bedroom with an adjoining little suite and a bigger room than this, maybe you could get by with that. And even in bathrooms, you get a 3-blade one. You can get a 5-blade. I put in a 5-blade and it was a 32-inch one, I think, from before, and it worked out perfect. So, you know, go through this. That's why I'm going through this whole thing, so that you can watch video clips after segment, a whole series. And I've got other any ceiling fans that I've ever worked on that I've made videos of, I posted them onto my channel. So fixing wobbly ceiling fans, I show you how to fix that. If you got a pull chain and the pull chain breaks and it's on low speed, I'll show you how to fix that to where you don't need a new pull chain, and or you have an old pull chain, and I'll show you how to fix your ceiling fan, and all kinds of things having to do with ceiling fans. Installing brand new ones from scratch, cutting walls open, patching drywall, and putting in a big, huge, longer light switch area. I did a bedroom or a bathroom. It had 2 switches in there, and then I took that out, put a 3-gang switch, and I had to cut the drywall out because there was no attic above. And I had to cut a hole up in the wall. I had to cut a hole in the ceiling. Then I fished strategically. No, actually, I cut a square hole where the drywall went, and then I installed a pancake box. I installed the backing for sheetrock. I put sheetrock back up in there and on the wall, and patched that, and made videos of the whole thing. And so you'll learn all kinds of different things. And if you see all that stuff, then you can see, hey, if VideoJoe can do it, hey, he goes through everything step by step, so I don't have to question anything. And if he can do it, I can do it. That's what my videos are about, okay? So enough of that. Next portion of the project, if you want to continue watching it, is going to be how to actually install the ceiling fan to your ceiling fan box. And I would also stress, if you have a light fixture up in your room and it's all wired and you got a light switch, let's say you have two light switches here. One light switch goes up to light fixture, one other light switch goes to you next to your bed, okay? And you've got to switch to light fixture. You take the light fixture down. Can you install a ceiling fan there? Well, you have to look at the box. And you have to make a determination. Is that box big enough? Or not big enough, but is that box strong enough to hold the weight of your ceiling fan? If you have a little plastic box up there, and if it's only hung off of 2 nails on a plastic box, kind of like how this plastic box was, I would not recommend trying to install the ceiling fan on that, because first off, your ceiling fan mounting housing bracket that goes up to your box is only going to be screwed up into plastic threads up in a plastic box, plus the plastic box is only attached to one side of a floor joist or a ceiling joist, and your ceiling fan could hang down on one side, and over time with the ceiling fan going around and around, after time those mounting screws going up in that plastic box might pull out of there, you know what I mean? And down the ceiling fan's going to come, and whatever's down below the ceiling fan, look out, I wouldn't want to be the person underneath there, okay? So lots of things to make a determination, but once we're up to this point, the ceiling fan is going to go in. So if you want to watch those, stick around and watch that whole other new video series on how to install the ceiling fan.